it is, with Froome supporting him at this Tour. Bradley Wiggins is 3 days from victory in Paris, with Froome himself set for the second step on the podium and Vincenzo Nibali in third, further behind the Sky pair than he was going into the Pyrenees. Jurgen van den Broek is fourth, further behind than he was going into the Pyrenees. In fact, let's keep it simple. Everyone is further behind Froome and Wiggins than they were going into the Pyrenees. Thibaut Pinot, the youngest man in the race, currently stands between Nicolas Roche and his aim of a top 10 finish. Dan Martin rode pretty well in the Pyrenees. Thomas Voeckler has the King of the Mountains title tied up, and Peter Sagan will probably make the green jersey a mathematical certainty today. Right then, let's take a look at the route. Blagnac is the start town today, and those riders that have made it through the Pyrenees are rewarded with the second longest stage of the race. According to the Tour sat-nav, Blagnac to Brive-la-Gaillarde is 222.5 kilometres, and as usual on the flat, it's the 0.5 that's likely to be the most interesting bit. Actually, although it's classified as a flat stage, there is enough up and down en route for it to include 4 official climbs, the most significant of them, the little kick-up 10 kilometres from the finish, the Côte du Lissac-sur-Cuse, which could either disrupt the day's chase or provide a launch pad for someone in the breakaway to strike out on his own on the run into Brive. So, day 11 in the yellow jersey for Brad Wiggins. He'll get his 12th at the end of the stage, and today likely to be the closest thing he'll get to a day off in this race, which might even give him the chance to savour some of the scenery. We may be out of the mountains, but that doesn't mean the helicopters are short of flyby opportunities. Now, with the time trial tomorrow and Paris on Sunday, this is traditionally the last chance for the chancers. There are still 13 teams in this race without a stage win. Funnily enough, there were 14 teams represented in the day's 16-man breakaway, although 4 of the winless teams weren't actually in there: AG2R, BMC, Source Ojasun and Euskaltel. For the first time in the entire race, Sky did have a man in the break, Edvald Boasson-Hagen, riding for himself for once, so they clearly weren't going to chase. Neither were Garmin with David Miller, nor possibly Lotto with Andre Greipel, because they had 2 men in there. Now, at the 120-kilometre mark, the main field took a slip road onto a stretch of motorway, which you might think would be a safe piece of road. And it would have been if there hadn't been a loose dog. A couple of riders went down hard, including Katusha's Dennis Menshoff and Philippe Gilbert of BMC. There's the culprit, and I don't mean the dog, I mean the bloke rushing up to put a lead on it so he could pretend it had been under control all along. Gilbert had to be restrained from making his point more forcefully to the owner than he did, and the final insult was almost being run over by the Katusha team car as it arrived to help Dennis Menshoff.
We are 8 kilometres from the finish of today's stage of the Tour de France. 3 riders remain from the breakaway. 3 fresh pairs of legs, if that's the right term, are rapidly closing the gap. Nicolas Roche, Andreas Klöden and Luis Leon Sanchez are trying to reach now Adam Hansen, Luca Paolini, Alexander Vinokourov. He's tucked on the back here. He's clearly the strongest of these 3. The 3 chasers are coming up. Now the peloton is not that far behind, but our computer's given up. It won't even tell us where they are.
Well, that was Luca Paolini looking down the camera lens as Adam Hansen comes into second place, gets himself into a low-profile position, a ski-tuck position, if you like, to get himself aerodynamic. Vinokourov is nervous. He's trying to make this move succeed this afternoon, but he does know he's now being chased by Klöden, Roche and Luis Leon Sanchez. The main field, though, Phil, are only at 13 seconds.
They put on a fantastic display, the riders in the Tour de France today, having left those 2 vicious days in the Pyrenees. No rest for these boys coming up to the time trial tomorrow. They have raced all the way. The peloton has never allowed the breakaway. At one time, it was 16 strong to escape. 3 survived from the breakaway. 3 fresh legs are coming up from the peloton. If 6 get together, they can hold them off.
You can just see a little bit of rain starting to come onto the camera lens, and with those 3 roundabouts, Phil, at 6 kilometres ago, it could be a recipe for disaster.
Okay, on the finishing line, though, nothing on my commentary box window as they go to the first of those roundabouts on the run in towards the line, and we'll enter the town of Brive. It's a very historic town downtown, and it's quite tricky.
Look how careful the peloton has gone around that group there, the corner there, because it is very, very slippery on the surface. They will have to pick it up once they get into the boulevards. There's 2 more of these traffic circles, roundabouts, for the main field to negotiate. Nicolas Roche is trying to find something very special to get onto the wheel of the Spanish champion in the individual time trial.
It looks just like we're running into Foix as we were a few days ago, and the same rider was looking at a small group of riders and he jumped away to win. Luis Leon Sanchez not ready yet. Nicolas Roche, the former champion of Ireland, goes through 11th overall in the Tour.
Well, the gap now, Phil, on race radio, they say is down to just 10 seconds, and 10 seconds is around about 100 meters distance between these groups, the leading group of 6 riders and the main field. The peloton will have to get themselves organized. They've negotiated all of the roundabouts. Now they're in the boulevards, the safe part of this race.
Well, the polka dot jersey there, Thomas Vogler, he's just sitting out of this because he wants to stay safe to win that jersey in Paris. The peloton are under 5 kilometers to go at the moment.
Simon Gerrans coming out of the main field, trying to see whether or not he can get himself a victory for Orica Greenedge. But to do so, he's got to get across this gap. And again, everybody's scuttling along, and there's still no big acceleration coming from Team Sky, but they are very much in control of the peloton. Locked into the wheel of Bradley Wiggins is Mark Cavendish, the world champion.
Everybody's 100% committed here. The face there on Vasily Kirienka just trying to drive from the front. This is the group now. They've got to continue. This is Kirienka here, just the advanced scout for the peloton, which is still screaming down. We're heading for the 4-kilometer banner, and the peloton now, everybody for himself.
Adam Hansen looks over his shoulder into the face of Nicholas Roach to try and figure out and judge his effort. He knows now there are 4 kilometers to go to the finish. Roach puts that little signal out there to say, come on, guys, we've got to keep working. If we're going to hold off the main peloton here this afternoon, we have to work together.
I'm just counting, Paul, hang on. 12 seconds is the gap under that banner. 4 kilometers it is to the finish. These boys are together. Andreas Klöden looks over his shoulder. Flick of the elbow means you come through, Nicholas. Watch Nicholas, he'll do the same any second now.
Looking down that line there to see, I can still see in the second row, if you like, the black, blue and white jerseys of Team Sky. Third in the line there of those riders is Bradley Wiggins in the yellow jersey. Fourth in that line is Mark Cavendish.
This is Leon Sanchez getting a good look and seeing there's still a workable gap there. 3 kilometers to go is the magical distance as far as timing for today's stage go, because if there was to be an accident in that main field, all riders will be given the same time, and that would mean that Bradley Wiggins will be perfectly safe. There is the 3 for the leading group. They are under that now. They are clear. They will get a different time if they were to fall. The face is on these riders. Now this is Nertz again for Liquigas.
On the front of this group, but absolutely hammering along. Can't see round there, but it looks like it's still Nicholas Roach.
It's still Roach. Andreas Klöden looks to be just hanging on to the coattails of Luca Paolini, and this is, they dropped him. Vinokurov was tailed off the back. He's trying to rejoin. Roach is a man possessed because Nicholas Roach is looking to gain a few seconds and get closer to finishing 10th overall in the Tour de France.
Well, Christian van der Velde in the middle there with the blue helmet. He's coming to the front. That must mean that in that mix somewhere is Tyler Farrar, the American sprinter. He maybe has survived the climbs here this afternoon, and he'll be looking for a victory if he can. The sprinters now, Phil, are all starting to queue up, but to win, they've got to catch the leading group. And, you know, I think they're going to maybe do it inside of the last kilometre.
What an incredible day of racing as we come to the last working day week of the Tour de France. Tomorrow we start the last weekend. They are just there at 2 kilometres to go. Everybody is at the limit of their speed. They're crawling their way back to those leaders.
No, they certainly are. They haven't quite got to the tail end there. The man making the effort as they go under the railway line there was Luis Leon Sanchez, and he knew that he had to make the effort at this moment if he had to hold off the storming main field here this afternoon. Into the tunnel, out of the tunnel, and it's still Nicholas Roach in the lead. On his wheel, Andreas Klöden.
Well, Roach is turning out to have being a great find in this year's Tour de France. He's really developed with the talent we always knew he had. This Irishman, the son of Stephen, and Stephen now is watching this on television, the win of the Tour in 1987.
Wiggins has come to the front in the yellow jersey, Phil, and locked onto his wheel is Mark Cavendish. Is he going to give him a 1.5 kilometre lead out? That would be quite amazing as Klöden look back. They're all looking back now, wondering where is the main field? Will they catch us here this afternoon?
Well, Wiggins on his own is capable in his track racing days of doing a kilometre in 1 minute without any assistance. There he is. He's got Boysenhagen behind him. The world champion Cavendish locked in. That's Andrei Grivko of Ukraine, who's they've just gone flying by. And can he do it? Because very soon we are seeing 1 kilometre to the finish, and Adam Hansen is seeing stars now because he could win this.
Well, they're around the corner now. There's not very much more than 2 or 3 seconds. It's now being left up to Edvald Boasson-Hagen. Locked onto his wheel is Mark Cavendish. They've still got to catch those 6 survivors of the breakaway here this afternoon. Moving up on the outside is Lotto Belisson looking after their man, and that, of course, Andre Greipel. They're taking one more final bend, one sweeper here as the main field just makes the junction as Hansen comes up, as Cavendish comes up onto the wheel of one of the lead-out men from Lotto Belisol.
500 metres to go. The breakaway is still clear, but the attack is coming. A final effort by the white jersey of Bosenhagen. Cavendish is going to have to come from a long way down. Nicholas Roach is opening up the sprint. Luis Leon Sanchez and Paulini are going. Here comes the missile. The white jersey grits his teeth. He chases Luis Leon Sanchez. He locks in, but can he get by? Roach is so close to winning this. He swings across the road. Cavendish has just won his second stage of the Tour de France. He joins the great sprinter Andre Darrigard with 22 wins in the Tour de France. What a finish, and that's got to be one of his best ever victories.
That finish, Phil, came from about 10 riders back, and the rain just starting to come out of the clouds here above Brive-la-Gaillarde. And this man, look at that relief, joy, the mountains are behind him. Yes is the only thing they could say, with a very, very traditional victory salute.
Absolutely superb cycling. What a great day of racing. It was so close for Stephen Roach also, whose last win was in the Tour of Beijing last year.
Look at the speed. Unbelievable. This man was a man who wanted the win.
He is a missile. When they fired him, he usually hits the target. Today is no exception. He's got his win again in the Tour de France. The other one was in the first couple of days. Now he's come back in the last couple of days.
Tell me, Phil, how many men are going to bet against Mark Cavendish on Sunday on the Champs-Élysées? Well, I won't.
Especially if he's got the yellow jersey leading him out. Mind you, Cav let himself out in the end. Hugs with Bradley Wiggins in the winner's area behind the podium, from which Mark Cavendish has been missing since stage 2. Here's the result then, and we need it today because none of the other finishers was visible in that sprint behind Cavendish. Matt Goss was second, Peter Sagan third. Then came the two men who thought they were fighting out the stage win between themselves with 250 metres to go, Luis Leon Sanchez and Nicholas Roach.